We have been Narad Vyas Samvad. And the Narad Vyas Samvad is there in the fourth, fifth, and the sixth chapter. In the fourth chapter, how Narad, you know, uh, becomes despondent, although he has compiled for the Jivas all these Vedas. Narad arrives there. In the fifth chapter, Narad gives instructions to Vyas on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he tells his previous life story. And hearing this, in the sixth chapter, Vyas wants to know how his spiritual master attained perfection. So we saw in that series, a very, very beautiful series in the last class, if you remember. Uh, I'm not able to share. Why? I don't know. How do you share the screen? Uh, okay, I'll just have to re-log in because I'm not able to share the screen here. Ah, yes, I'm able to share now. So we saw in the sixth chapter, in the last class, we discussed the sixth chapter where Suta narrates that, the Vyas, son of Satyavati, after hearing about Nara's birth and activities, asked some questions. So, what are the questions? Vyas begins. When the mendicants who taught you that knowledge departed, you being young, what did you do? So, this is the first question. And in this, there is how did you spend the rest of your life? And in what manner you gave up your body and attained this body at the time of death? And how these incidents which have happened in the previous day of Brahma, still that memory is, intact and you still remember. How do you know this? So then Narad starts speaking, the situation in the Gurukul, his mother was a maid servant there and he was his only affection. And by Daiva, her mother was bit by a snake and his only source of affection was cut. And then, seeing this as Lord's mercy, Narad departed to the north. And then, what all he went through the cities, the jungles, the gramas, Kheta, Karvata, Vati, Vanani, Upavanani. He saw ferocious things, but he was not afflicted because he was experiencing prema. And all this passing, suddenly he became tired. Parishranta Indriya Atmanaham. So he sat in a jalashay and drank water and started meditating on the Lord as he was taught by the Bhaktivedansas. So as he meditated, Dhyayatas Charanambuja Bhavanirjita Tejasa, with a mind conquered by prema, tears in his eyes, Autkantya, the Lord appeared. The Lord made his appearance in his. And then what happened? Because of prema, all his limbs, there was goosebump, pulakanga, and he was filled with delight, and out of bliss, ananda samplavelina, he could not see the Lord and himself. And then what happened? Seeing this form, suddenly, which destroys all lamentation, he became agitated from the sorrow of separation, uttaste, and the Lord form disappeared immediately. So he became despondent like somebody who had lost a treasure. So this is where we completed our discussion in the last class. So we will now continue the discussion from here. Now from here onwards also, as I mentioned, the discussion is very important. Dhidrushustad aham bhuya paridhyana manoridhi vikshmanopi na pashyam avitripta ivatura, desiring to see the drukshu. Now here you can see drukshu means to see and the drukshu means the is a prefix here and that refers to the desiring to see. It is a prefix added. Just like moksha is liberation, mumukshu is the desirer of liberation. So the Lord suddenly showed his form and suddenly disappeared. So, desiring to see that form again, tad bhuya, I fixed. Aham pari dhyana. So, dhyana means to meditate or fix my mind. Pari dhyana means to completely meditate, you know. My mind in the heart, manoridhi. Though I looked intently, Vikshamanopi, I did not see that form, na pasham, dissatisfied, avitrupta. I became like a diseased person, atur iva, or a person who had lost wealth. Prabhupada's purport is very insightful. Prabhupada mentions that the Lord cannot be seen just by the mechanical process. Ultimately, the Lord is seen only when He bestows His causeless mercy. So many times Prabhupada will bring out. There is no mechanical process to see the form of the Lord. It completely depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. So you see how many times Prabhupada is going to mention this causeless mercy, causeless mercy. Ultimately, it is, our endeavor, but mercy has to descend. We cannot demand the Lord to be present before a vision, just as we cannot demand the sun to rise whenever we like. The sun rises out of its own accord. So also, the Lord is pleased to be present out of his causeless mercy. Again, second time Prabhupada brings out this. One should simply await the opportune moment and go on discharging his prescribed duty and devotional service of the Lord. So that utkanta, this is one of the symptoms of bhava bhakta. He's longing, his heart is longing, when I'll become free from these material attractions. Vishaya chhadiya, kabe shuddha hobe man, kabe hami aribo, Shri Vrindavan. So he's longing to see the Lord. We should long when we will come to hear the Bhagavatam. We will long when we shall go to the temple to attend Mangalarti. We should be longing when we will go to the yatra and hear Hari Katha. That should be our, aspiration. Narad thought that the Lord could be seen again by the same mechanical process, which was successful in the first attempt. But in spite of his utmost endeavor, he could not make the second attempt successful. So he endeavored. The Lord is completely independent of all obligations. He can simply be bound up by the tie of unalloyed devotion, nor is he visible or possible by our material senses. When he pleases, being satisfied with the sincere attempt of devotional service, depending completely on the mercy of the Lord, then he may be seen out of his own accord. So again, causeless mercy is coming, depending completely on his mercy of the Lord. So it's only the Lord's mercy only we can see the Lord. Vishwanath Chakra Thakur, very short purport. Paridhyana means having fixed. Text 20. Evam yatantam vijane mamaha gocharo giram gambhir shlakshanaya vacha suja prashamayan iva. As I endeavored to see him, evam yatantam, he was endeavoring, yatanta. Yatanta means to endeavor, yatan. Yatato hi api kaunteya purushasya vipashyata. In that lonely place, vijane. Jane means where people are, vijane means no people. The Lord. Let us see what Prabhupada, in that lonely place, Prabhupada says, same. The Lord, inexpressible by words, agocharo giram, then spoke to me, mam aha, with affectionate words, gambhira shlakshanaya vacha, which removed my grief. Sucha prashamayan iva. So the Lord, so Narad Muni, uh, in how many ways did he come in contact with the Lord up till now? Which are the different ways in which he came contact with now? Narad Muni, let us know how many ways up till now he has come in contact with the Lord. Firstly, anyone, Govind Nandini Mataji, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Ah, you were there in the last class also.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first, how did he, which of his senses, Narad Muni's senses, how did he come in contact? The first contact, what was it? Are you with us in this discussion?
Yeah, maybe I missed Prabhuji.
Yeah, okay. At least here, how will he come in contact with the Lord? Through what? Tell us in this verse. Is he going to see the Lord? Or what is it? What is this verse saying?
Yes.
What? Yes.
Yeah, as I endeavored to see him. Yeah, he's going to see the Lord, that lonely place.
No, no, no. You are not
Mm.
the
Oh,
discussion.
sorry.
You have to be participate in the discussion. Otherwise,
Yeah, sure.
Harsh Radha Mataji,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Uh,
how first
I think,
Narad
uh,
came in contact
yes,
with the Lord? Through what first?
through his heart, he felt that sensation on the body.
Yeah, but did he see the Lord in the heart?
Uh, no,
Yes, he saw the Lord in the
it's
heart.
so-
That was there in the previous verses in the last class we discussed. And then he experienced these ecstatic symptoms of hair standing on end, goosebumps, tears, all this happened. And suddenly he lost that vision, which is mentioned in the previous verse, which we discussed now. Desiring to see is mentioned here. So, the Rupam Bhagavato, seeing that form, which completely destroys any attraction for any material forms. So we have seen Didrakshu means he wanted to see again that form. Again, that means he saw the form, right? So now he is going to come in touch with the what now? Dirkrish Prabhuji. Are you there? Pradeep Prabhuji, yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Just
Now,
yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. I never to see the place.
did you understand our question?
Kindly repeat, sir. Prabhu. Kindly repeat, Prabhu.
Yeah, hold on then. Let's. Navneet Mataji, you got our question, right? I know it's very difficult to concentrate in an online class. So many distractions. Yes,
Hare
ma'am.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Now he will hear Lord's voice.
He will hear his word that. Now my question to you is, did he actually see the Lord in front of his eyes or only he saw it in his heart?
He saw in his heart, Prabhuji.
Yes, he only saw in his heart. He did not have Saksha Darshan. Please remember. Yes.
Be- because with material eyes you can't see the Lord.
No, he was at prema level. He had, he was purified. But
Okay.
still. So now he's going to come in touch with the Lord's voice. Then he spoke to me with affection. Gambhira Shlakshana Vacha, which removed my grief. Okay, Prabhupada. In the Vedas, it is said that God is beyond the approach of mundane words and intelligence. And yet, by his causeless mercy, again, Prabhupada is bringing out, this one thing you should, repeatedly understand. One can have suitable senses to hear him or to speak to him. This is the Lord's inconceivable energy. One upon whom his mercy is bestowed can hear him. Now, again, Prabhupada is bringing out that mercy element, Kripa Shakti. It stands above all. The Lord is so much So the Lord was so much pleased with Narad Muni that, and therefore the necessary strength was invested in him so that he can hear the Lord. It is not, however, possible for others to perceive directly the touch of the Lord during the probationary stage of regulative devotional service. So this refers to what? This refers to Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. So during Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, you cannot hear the Lord or you cannot touch the Lord. It was a special gift for Narad. When he heard the pleasing verse of the Lord, the feelings of separation were to some extent mitigated. A devotee in love with God feels always the pangs of separation and therefore always enwrapped in transcendental ecstasy. This is Vipralamba Bhava, service in separation, Prabhupada is speaking. Vishwanath Chakravarti gives the quotation which Prabhupada doesn't give. The Lord is beyond the description of words. Giram agochara, as stated in the Shruti. Yato vacha nivartante. The Lord from whom words return without attaining him. The Lord who cannot be approached by words spoke to me. I had an experience of his sweet sounding words too by my ears. Because Narad had bhakti arising from Vaidhi sadhana, he had realization of the sweetness of the Lord's fragrance, beauty, and speech in his present body. So I mentioned, if you remember, in the Madhuri Kadamini, that in Prema, there is a gradual development happening. Please remember, in Prema also there is a gradual development happening. The sadhaka has attained siddhi. Now his body is spiritualized. His body is spiritualized and his senses also have become spiritualized. And then gradually he comes in touch with, first the fragrance of the Lord I mentioned, and the beauty of the Lord, and then the speech. So this is the gradual development. The fragrance is connected to what? Which of the senses? Who will answer this? Fragrance is connected to what? Anyone? Pradeep Prabhuji. Fragrance.
It's related to nose, Prabhuji, nostrils.
Yeah, it is a grahan, the nose. And the beauty? Yeah, you only can answer beauty. You can unmute yourself, Prabhuji. Pardon?
It related to Prabhuji, eyes, Prabhuji,
Eyes. And
darshan,
speech? Speech?
speech through tongue, means mouth.
Actually, there is difference. See, the tongue is a jnanendriya, whereas speech is karmendriya.
Yes.
It's a karmendriya. Vak. Okay. The complete experience will all other types of sweetness touch. So this touch is, you can touch the Lord. Taste would be experienced in the future in his spiritual body, Siddhadev. So when he gets a spiritual body. By this, his sweet words, the Lord removed all types of lamentation and suffering which had arisen by not seeing him. The word eva somewhat is used because his love in longing caused by separation had not been fully satisfied. Eva. So that's what eva. Now, from 21 to 24, the Lord spoke, no? So what the Lord instructs Narada is there. Hantasmin janmani bhavan mam मां दर्शितुम् इहारति अविपक्वः कषायानां दुर्दर्शो हम कुयोगिनाम. Hanta, oh, Hanta means very affectionately, oh my son. In this body, Asmin Janmani, you, Bhavan, will not be able to see me again. Ma mam darshutum iha arhati. But lax practitioners, ku-yoginam, who still have some contamination, avipakka kashayanam, cannot see me at all. Do darsho aham. Very, very interesting. This is a very important verse also and very interesting. Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead is described in the Bhagavad Gita as the most pure, the supreme, and the absolute truth. So, which verse is Prabhupada actually quoting? Anyone? Which verse is Prabhupada quoting here? Which verse is Prabhupada quoting here? Anyone? Which verse is Prabhupada quoting here? Bear Fish Prabhuji.
Oh, I'm not able to recollect.
Oh, Parabrahma, Paramdhama,
Param,
Pavitram,
yes,
Paramam Bhavan.
yes, yes.
So that's how you should study the Bhagavad Gita so that the Bhagavatam, you can relish. Yeah. There is no trace of tinge of materiality in his person, and thus one who has the slightest tinge of material affection cannot approach him. So please remember, if you have the slightest tinge of material affection, means any material affection, even for anything material in this world, what to speak of affection for family, children, and other objects. The beginning of devotional service starts from the point where one is freed from at least two forms of material modes, namely the mode of passion and mode of ignorance. So Prabhupada is speaking about Shuddha Bhakti begins, when the modes influences subsided. The result is exhibited by the signs of being freed from karma and lobha. That is to say, one must be freed from the desires of sense satisfaction and avarice for satisfaction, sense gratification. The balanced mode of nature is goodness, and to be completely freed from all material tinges is to become free from the mode of goodness also. So Narada had a slight contamination of the mode of goodness. He was still attracted to living in the forest. So that was avipakashayanam. That was the contamination. To search the audience of God in a lonely forest is to be considered in the mode of goodness. One can go out into the forest to attain spiritual perfection, but that does not mean that one can see the Lord personally there. One must be completely free from all material attachment and be situated on the plane of transcendence. That means one should be free from the three modes completely. And in the Bhagavad Gita 14th chapter, Krishna speaks about, Arjuna will ask a question and Krishna speaks, what are the symptoms of Kayarlingan, Trin Gunan, Ati Vartate, which alone will help the devotee to get in personal touch with the personality of Godhead. The best method is that one should live at a place where the transcendental form of the Lord is worshipped. The temple of the Lord is the transcendental place, whereas the forest is in the materially good habitation. So that's the difference. A neophyte devotee is always recommended to worship the deity of the Lord Archana rather than go into the forest to search of the Lord. So Prabhupada is giving us practical instructions for sadhakas that you want to see the Lord, you see the Lord in the deities. Go to the temple and have darshan of the Lord and serve the deities directly. That's the best way. Devotional service begins from the process of archana, which is better than going out in the forest. In the present life, which is completely free from all material hankerings, Sri Narada Muni does not go into the forest, although he can turn every place into Vaikuntha by his presence only. He travels from one planet to another to convert men, gods, kinnaras, gandharvas, rishis, munis, and all others to become devotees of the Lord. By his activities, he has engaged many devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, and many others in the transcendental service of the Lord. A pure devotee of the Lord, therefore, follows in the footsteps of great devotees like Narad and Prahlad and engages his whole time in glorifying the Lord by the process of Kirtan. Such a preaching process is transcendental to all material qualities. So this is what Prabhupada is recommending how to follow in the footsteps of Narada. Initially, we should do, deity worship, purify, come to the mode of goodness, and then through the chanting process, advance and continuously do kirtan. And preaching is kirtan. Vishnu Chakatakur. What did he say? Oh, Hanta, this is an address made out of affection. In this birth, having a body of a practitioner, you cannot see me. I am invisible. Dur Darshah. Darsha means to see. Durdarsha means it is a uh, negative connotation in his world to those faulty practitioners of yoga, ko-yogina, whose contaminations such as lust have not been burnt up. So here there is a note. Jiva Goswami mentions that some persons purify themselves but remain with Satvaguna and thus are attached to living in the forest. So this was the case with Narad Muni. So let's see what Jiva Goswami also says. The intention here is to say, but I showed myself to you, therefore you are not a faulty practitioner. So now I'm just sharing the commentary of Jiva Goswami. Of course, I should have. In the fifth chapter, I did that. I'll just give me a half a minute. I'll just add the annotations to the slides. So let's see the Jiva Goswami's commentary, which is very, very important. And this has to be understood also. Yes. Yeah. So now let us take Jiva Goswami's commentary. Uh, yeah. It was said, Bhakti pravritta rajas tamo paha. So this is said in the fifth chapter. I then develop prema, which destroys rajas and tamas in the jivas. This is the fifth chapter. He had sattviki contamination such as attachment to living in the forest. So this is, the rajas and tamas was destroyed, but the sattva contamination was not destroyed. Vanam tu satviko vaso grama rajasa uchyate tamasam dhyuta sadanam Maniketam to nirgunam. Residence in the forest is in the mode of goodness. Residence in the town is in the mode of passion. Residence in the gambling house displays the quality of ignorance. And residence in my place where I reside is beyond the gunas. So that's why Prabhupada focuses in his purport about staying in the temple, doing deity worship and all. The Lord did not appear in order to increase his longing. So that's Vishnu Jiva Goswami's purport. Okay, so any questions on this? Any questions, any clarifications anyone has on this part, what we discussed now? Anyone have any questions? Veer Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, Veer Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. But Prabhu, here, who yoginam, we can refer to whom exactly? I mean, in context of practicing devotees.
I will come on that. I have a part to discuss on that. I will clarify that now again from Jiva Goswami's Sandarbhas only. I will clarify that. Give me a minute. Yeah, I just wanted to use the board. So, yeah. So, Jiva Goswami in the Bhakti Sandarbhas uh, speaks about that, in order to practice bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti, one should associate with pure devotees, he says. So he says there are three categories. One is the Nitya Siddhas. The Nitya Siddhas are from the spiritual world, eternally perfected souls. Then he says there is Murchita Kashaya. And then the third he says, amurchita. Again, my handwriting is very bad. Kashaya. Why this happens? I have to understand the art. So for this, Nitya Siddhas, he gives the example of Narada Muni. And Murchita example he gives of Sukadev Goswami. And Amurchita Kashaya, he gives Narad Muni in his previous life. That is the maidservant. This Murchita means, Murchit means he faints, the person faints, when you say Murchit, Kashaya means contamination. So the contamination is contemplated, it's sleeping, it will never awaken, But amurchita kashaya means, it is not still sleeping, it is there, contamination. So the example is of Narad Muni. And all these three are very, very exalted. Please remember, very, very exalted, extremely exalted personalities these are. If you have just darshan of any of these three categories of devotees, you can imagine Narad Muni's darshan or Sukhdev Goswami's darshan or Narad Muni in his previous life who had attained Prema. Having their darshan, you will, that seed of Shraddha will be deeply sown in your heart and you can just, jump, and start taking a, thrust in bhakti like a jet, So this is a Murchita Kashaya, which, is being referred. And here the Lord referred Narad Muni as what? He is referred here as what? He is referred here as Kuyoginam. Please remember. Sorry, again, struggling to write with my pen. Yeah. Kuyogi Nam. So this Kuyogi means you should not consider, he had Prema already, first thing. Secondly, not only he had darshan of the Lord in the heart, thirdly, he heard the Lord's voice. So all this, it's not ordinary, but still from the perfectional level, this is a little slight contamination. In that sense, Kuyoginam has been used. So if that is the case for Narad Muni, then how about sadhakas? How much we must be Kuyoginam? No? So that's what we should understand. I hope this satisfies your query, Veer Krish Prabhuji.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Any other questions you have? Anyone else has? The next verse is also very, very important and very interesting. We'll take it up now. We have time. Okay, so I hope this is clear. This discussion is clear about these three. I did not go more into the detail of that sadhus, which is there quite exhaustively in Bhakti Sandarbhas. Sakradyadarshitam rupam etad kamaya te naga mat kama shanake sadhu sarvan munchati richayan. O sinless Narada Anaga. So you can see here, if he's a Kuyoganam, why would the Lord address him as O sinless? It's a very exalted stage, you have to understand. I showed myself, yad darshitam rupam, once, sakrad, to produce a desire in you to see me. Te etad kamaya. The devotee sadhu, so desiring me, mat kama, gradually Shanake becomes freed of all material. Sarvan munchati rit shayan. So again, gradually, Shanake, he becomes free from all material desires. That means there are purifications happening even in the prima level. So there is a gradual purification happening there also. Let's see, Prabhupada. A living being cannot be vacant of desires. He is not a dead stone. He must be working, thinking, feeling, and willing. But when he thinks, feels, and wills materially, he becomes entangled. And conversely, when he thinks, feels, and wills for the service of the Lord, he becomes gradually freed from all entanglement. So, thinking, feeling, and willing is a sadhaka, what he should invest always in the service of the Lord. So, that's how he gets gradually purified. The more a person is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, the more he acquires a hankering for it. That is the transcendental nature of godly service. Material service has satiation, whereas spiritual service of the Lord has neither satiation nor end. One can go on increasing his hankerings for the loving transcendental service of the Lord, and yet he will not find satiation or end. By intense service of the Lord, one can experience the presence of the Lord transcendently. So here we have to mark this. Intense service. Now, I don't know how do I switch from here back. This is also one of the biggest problems I have, and I have to somehow take some expert guidance on this. How do we come out of the... Yeah, I want to mark this. Okay, I'm going to just mark it like this. Okay, by intense service. Please mark this. So when we do intense devotional service, then therefore seeing the Lord means being engaged in his service because his service and his person are identical. So if you're serving the Lord, you're actually seeing the Lord. That's what is the sincere devotee should go on with sincere service of the Lord. The Lord will give proper direction as to how and where it has to be done. So Prabhupada is, addressing this whole purport. This is on a very exalted platform which Narad Muni is experiencing. But he is writing the purport for us as sadhakas, practically what we should do. There was no material desire in Narada, and yet, just to increase his intense desire for the Lord, he was so advised. So he is at prema, so he was free from all material desires. But he wanted to now increase his intense desire of the spiritual hankering, spiritual desire to attain the Lord. Vishwanath Chakravarti. But just show yourself once more to me. Seeing me only once, not many times, is enough to produce desire for me, kamaya. By only slight increase in longing, prema will not develop to the state of youthfulness in a person having somewhat weak prema. So his prema was weak. So he wanted to, increase that. My rule is that I show myself one time only to a person practicing in his present body, in his sadhakadeya, who has developed prema. The infant state of prema in the sadhaka's body matures to the youthful state in the siddha deha by an increase of prema arising from longing in separation. So very, very interesting. That youthful prema allows the devotees to see me constantly and serve me directly. So this is specifically in the siddha deha, when we give up this body and attain a spiritual body and go back to the spiritual world, or when we are here with Krishna when he is performing his Leela. I alone and not my devotee know the process of fulfilling the desires of my devotee. You who simply desire me, mat kamaya, even without having seen me, will become free from all desires of material enjoyment. Richayan. This statement does not apply to Narada since he did not have any material desires, being at the level of prema already. So this is the point I mentioned. But saying this, the Lord shows the nature of devotion. Additionally, by saying this, the Lord increases the humility of Narada. So sometimes, there is still purification you need, so we become humble, So that's what the Lord did to Narada. Okay. Any questions on this? Very, very important and interesting discussion happening here. Any questions, any clarifications? Any questions on this? Okay, we will take the next verse. We will take this last verse, or we'll finish the section. Satseva dirgayapi jatamai dridamati hitvadyam imam lokam gantamad janatamasi By serving the devotees, Sat Sevaya, for even a short time, Adirgayapi, your intelligence, Mati, becomes firmly fixed in me. Jata Mayi Drida. When you give up Hitva, this body, Imam Lokam, of low birth, Avadyam, you will become my associate. Ganta Mat Janatam Asi. Prabhupada. Serving the absolute truth means rendering service to the absolute personality Godhead under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master, who is a transparent via medium between the Lord and the neophyte devotee. The neophyte devotee has no ability to approach the personality of Godhead, absolute personality of Godhead, by the strength of his present imperfect material senses. And therefore, under the direction of the spiritual master, he is trained in transcendental service of the Lord. By such training, even for some days, the neophyte devotee gets intelligence in such transcendental service, which leads him ultimately to get free from perpetual inhabitation in the material worlds and to be promoted to the transcendental world to become one of the liberated associates of the Lord in the kingdom of God. Prabhupada's purport is quite brief in this. By serving the devotees of the Lord, even for a short time, Adirgaya, you develop strong intelligence in me. Giving up the low body, avadyam lokam, you will become my associate. Mat janatam. Last verse. We'll take up this last verse. Madirmai nirbhaddeyam na vipadyeti karhichit praja sarga nirodepi smritischa mad anugrahat. Your intelligence, yamati, being absorbed in me, mai nibadhya, will never be destroyed. Na vipadyate karhichit. Even at the time of creation and destruction of the living entities. Praja Sarga Nirodapi. By my mercy, Mad Anugrahat, your memory of the previous Kalpa will not be destroyed. So this was a question Vyasdeva had. How is that this event which happened in the previous day of Brahma? How do you remember? So we remember, or Narad Muni remembers, because of the Lord's mercy. Mad Anugrahat. Prabhupada. Devotional service rendered to the personality of Godhead never goes in vain. Since the personality of Godhead is eternal, intelligence applied in his service or anything done in his relation is also permanent. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that such transcendental service rendered unto the personality of Godhead accumulates birth after birth, and when the devotee is fully matured, the total service counted together makes him eligible to enter into the association of the personality of Godhead. Such accumulation of God service is never vanquished, but increases till fully matured. So, which verse in the Bhagavad Gita is Prabhupada quoting here? Anyone? Which verse is he quoting? Anyone? Anyone? Let us see. Which verse of Prabhupada is quoting? I'll give some hint. It's from the 6th chapter. I'm opening the Veda base for you all. But it's from the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Anyone would like to try? Which verse is Prabhupada quoting? No. Prabhupada is quoting this verse, 645. Prayatna dyatmanastu yogi samshuddha kilbisha aneka janma samsiddhas tato yantim param gatim. Fully mature. This is okay, Vishwanath Chakravarti. Your concentration on me will not perish because it has been fixed upon me by prema. Because I'm eternal, the remembrance of me is also eternal. Okay, now this is what the Lord speaks. So from section 25 to 27, Narad follows instructions until death, these instructions. So let us see what that will be in the next class. Okay, any questions, any clarifications anyone has? Yes, Navneet Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, is intelligence not governed by the gunas?
Okay, there is two things we have to understand. the soul is there, and there is a subtle body which is made of mind, intelligence, and false ego. Now, this is a material element. Intelligence is basically the decision-making faculty, and determination. The mind is the faculty through which we think. Whatever thoughts are coming, it is coming through the mind. And the eyes are there in the gross body, but it is the soul who sees through the faculty of the eyes. It is the soul uses the faculty of the mind to think. It is the soul which uses the faculty of intelligence to discriminate what is right and what is wrong. Now, as we use these faculties in Krishna consciousness, we are spiritualizing the mind, spiritualizing the intelligence. And then when we are situated on the transcendental level and the soul develops its spiritual senses, the soul has its spiritual eyes, the soul has its, it thinks, the soul has its own intelligence. That is the spiritual intelligence. So that, as the soul is indestructible, so that intelligence is also indestructible. That's the point. Is it clear?
Yes, Prabhuji. My confusion was like we believe in transmigration of the soul, so all these three elements travel with us. So intelligence also travels with us. We have to keep on the quoting that Chetodarpan Marjanam happens at the mind level. Or is it intelligence is also it's happening at that level as well?
It happens at the intelligence level also. Actually, Chaito Darpan Marjanam is happening in the entire subtle body. When the soul hears the mantra, then the super soul, seeing the sincerity, purifies the chitta, the contaminated consciousness. That's how it works.
Okay.
The chitta,
Thank you.
contaminated consciousness, is part of the antakaran, the subtle body.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay, there was one more hand raised. Anyone else? Any other questions? Bir Krish Prabhuji, yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dhanatna. Prabhu, just wanted to know this. Naradji, he had darshan of Lord in his heart. Huh?
Yes.
So, which form actually Prabhu, he had darshan? Any narration about
There
this?
is no mention, there is no description or mention about that. There is no much, no, none of the Acharya has spoken, so I cannot say anything about it. Which form?
I guess it is just my guess. Does it Narayan form or how? I don't know, Prabhu.
No, I cannot say anything because none of the Acharya is going to that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Ashokatma Prabhuji, you have a question? No. Okay. So we'll stop here. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Hare Krishna.